Welcome to FHA Weekly, your one-stop program on how to secure affordable homes. I am Itunu Kolawole. We begin today's edition with the latest development in the Federal Housing Authority on FHA Round the Clock.
The people from Lagos and other places.
As part of its renewed commitment to inclusive governance, sustainable estate management and stakeholder collaboration, the Federal Housing Authority, through its Estate Services Department, has convened a national roundtable engagement with landlords and residents association across FHA estates nationwide.
We can actually be solution providers and give constructive engagement.
Representing the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Oyetunde Ojo, the Executive Director, Estate Services, Architect Ezekiel Nya-Etok, thanked the MD for his support and commitment to the growth of the authority. They also expressed a deep appreciation to the stakeholders for their presence, noting that their partnership remains vital to the success of FHA.
Tell us what we could do by way of relationships, by way of interface, by way of structure, by way of organization, anything that we can do to make sure that there is a mutual, interface between us.
The Executive Director explained that the roundtable serves not only as a platform for identifying challenges, but also as an opportunity for residents, landlords, and the authority to engage in open and constructive dialogue aimed at exploring innovative and collaborative solutions to estate management.
We also have at least 2/3 of the estates have sent the forms of the 5 most important, most pressing problems. So we have that compiled already. And I want to appeal to the estates that have not done so to please do it so that when we come to zones, we will be able to address specifics.
Stakeholders from Lagos, Owerri, Kano and other locations highlighted their challenges and community-driven efforts to improve social amenities such as roads, electricity and water supply. They commended management for providing a conducive environment for peaceful dialogue geared towards improving living conditions across FHA estates.
You saw how the meeting went, you saw how it ended, everybody was very happy. That could only be done if there was this confidence that they had in FHA. And I think that our MD/CEO, Honorable Oyetunde Ojo, should be very proud of himself, and by extension the management team, and then the workers, the staff of FHA, because there is a new, improved FHA that has won the respect of the people.
We have set up a dedicated desk in Estate Services Directorate strictly for the Owners Residents Association.
To ensure that issues raised translates into tangible outcomes, the Executive Director disclosed that management will establish a dedicated desk to critically review submissions from each estate with a view to fostering synergy and developing practical solutions.
On account of the meeting we've had today, there's one, management of expectation, and secondly, a commitment to partnership. What is going to happen is that, which has already started, is that in each of the estates, people are going to look at ways of collaborating, networking with FHA, leveraging on our strengths to be able to make the estates better. We've decided to set up the system and the structure. The next thing is engaging the system and the structure to get the result we want.
The meeting ended on a high note of peace and optimism, with participants reaffirming their commitment to a new era of cooperation between FHA and its stakeholders.
You can see what has happened today. It has really rekindled the joy of so many people. I mean, we least expected what we are hearing For the first time we are hearing from Justice mouth, it has really dosed down assumption of what are the duties of FHA and what are the duties of the Residents Association. I want to believe strongly that there is a lot that the Residents Association can really do with FHA in order to move our estate forward.
The engagement once again underscores FHA's commitment to responsive leadership, collaborative governance, and the sustainable preservation of its housing assets for present and future generations.
On this edition of FHA 101, I had a chat with the General Manager, Admin and HR, Dr. Amechi Osuji, and he shared with us some of the innovative ideas that he's bringing to the admin department. First, I'd like to congratulate you on your appointment. And I'd like you to share with us some of the priorities that you have for this new department.
Okay, well, we thank God for uplifting me to the post of General Manager. It has been a long journey, and I'm very grateful to Almighty God. I'm also equally grateful to our current management team at the helm of affairs, Honorable Yetunde Oladimejojo. He has been very wonderful. Well, as in my priorities for the administration and HR department, which I now superintend, my major aim is to professionalize that department, make it more professional, and possibly introduce best practice as far as human resource management is concerned. And in doing that, I want to introduce this culture of FHA having a HR clinic. HR clinic in the sense that it will be a forum for cross-fertilization of ideas, where the officers in the department will gather twice in a month to review and evaluate HR-related matters, to look at challenges, and then find possible solutions to such problems. And in the process of doing that, I believe that it will be a very fertile ground for knowledge, for people to acquire knowledge and people to gain experience, because it's a kind of experience sharing session. It will be experience sharing sessions.
So your vision, can you also describe the vision that you have for human capital development within the Federal Housing Authority?
Well, in terms of vision, when you talk of vision, you talk of where we are going to, the dream I have for the HR department. I understand I've been in this organization for 28 years now, and I've grown here to understand the problems of this place, particularly human resource management. I intend for us to move away from the culture of maintenance services. You know, in the past, what we used to practice, even in the most government organizations, when you talk of HR management, you talk of issuing query, processing leave applications, processing study leave with pay, without pay, maternity leave, study, all those things. Then the core HR practice, whereby in which you align corporate goal and strategies to HR practice, is lacking, which by the special grace of God, I intend to turn the HR practice in that direction, for it to, one, to be more professional, and for us to now align our roles to corporate goals, for us to contribute to the success of Federal Housing Authority.
Now, in terms of the staffs in FHA, apart aside just those in your department, what improvements are you planning to bring in terms of developing the staffs of FHA?
Okay, in that regard, I've noted a kind of skill gap. Skill gap and succession planning. It's not that when you have a crop of staff or officers that you know that are knowledgeable, when they exit from service, then you now have that gap again. So in order to breach it, we need to adopt some measures to make that happen. One, training and retraining. We'll start with that one for knowledge gap. When you train and retrain your staff, they will now be acquainted with the current trends in their profession, in what you have employed them to do. They will be able to now know what is expected of them and then contribute positively towards the actualization of the goal of the organization.
There have been issues, and we've heard staffs having grievances about bias in terms of training and retraining, like you mentioned. A number of them say they don't go for trainings. They could be here for 10 years and they would not be allowed to go for training. How do you plan on improving on that?
I intend to form teams. In course of formation of teams, it will now go like from HR now. Take for example, in fact, the new MD, our MD now, current management is already doing it. We have teams that process consent. We have another team that process planning approval, building approval. Then in course of those teams, because in the teams, they are all multidisciplinary. It's not a single professional team. You have town planners, you have architects, you have engineers, you even have lawyers, you have accountants, you have other auditors there, internal auditors. So in course of their work, they do brainstorm. And as they are working, the team leaders there will be able to say, okay, this person has gap in this, that person has gap in that. So in identification of those skill gaps, we'll now be able to see, tailor our training programs towards, filling those knowledge and skill gap.
And let's also look at staff morale and how it affects productivity in every organization. Because if staffs are not enjoying their workspace, if they don't have anything that makes the workspace more interesting, they are not going to be productive. It is, of course, going to affect the service delivery of FHA. So what is your department doing to improve on this?
Honorable Yetundojo, the MD, has really done well in that regard too. He came in here 16th February 2024. Between that time, in the last 24 months, as he's working here as our managing director, if you check the working environment, the office environment, there is a lot of changes, ranging from facilities, office accommodation, tools, computers. If you check now, we now have laptops for almost all the top and middle management staff. Then his approach towards digitalization, trying to automate the FHA's operations, has really helped in this regard. So when you now talk of office environment, facilities, and infrastructure that we need to, and tools that we need to work, he has done well in that. He has made provisions for all those things. And we now have enough computers, we have enough office space, good office environment. You see the AC working. Before it was not like that. Stable power supply that make the work flow very well. We all have them now. And that has really helped a lot.
Okay, let's, if we were to also look in terms of staff welfare or this productivity that we keep talking about. There have been cases of aggrieved staff, especially in terms of promotion. There are some of them that have complained that they passed the promotion exam, but there is no vacancy. Was there any need for them to have done this promotion exam if there was no vacancy? How is HR going to improve on the organogram and ensure that the people that have passed their exams are promoted?
You know that in every society, there are rules that usually guide every organization. FHA is not an exception. This is a government agency. And every government agency is guided by, there is rule of operation. We have our public service rules, the PSR, which is like a Bible. We have our staff conditions of service. We have circulars from the head of service that usually guide our operations when it comes to human resource management. And promotion of staff or employees will have rules that guides it. So assuming that, and this problem of I'm not promoted, I passed the exam, or all this usually comes up as you're approaching the top hierarchy. It narrows up like this. Then as you're moving there, it becomes more competitive. Take, for example, there is a position for, let's say, let me use my own position, general manager now, is one position. And we might have like 4 people competing for it. And at the end of the day, you will go for an exam, both written and oral. The exam, the result of the exam will now indicate who will enter, who will become the general manager. So in that, there is a rule, even is established, is provided in the PSR, public service rules, is provided in our staff conditions of service, which every employee in the authority signed an undertaking or acceptance letter to abide by those rules. As you're joining the organization, when you accept the employment, you sign acceptance letter and you pledge to abide by the rules. So what I encourage my colleagues, both junior and senior, is for us to, remain focused, study hard, work hard, come to work, understand the rules of the work processes, and then be able to abide by those rules to enable them get to their apex of their organization, of their career, as far as career progression is concerned.
Okay. How are you maintaining the culture of accountability among staff?
Accountability in this regard will still go back to the rules, as I mentioned earlier. We have what we call financial regulation that guides spending in public service. When you contravene such rules, it will amount to, and it may lead to punishment that may lead to disengagement of such persons. So when those rules when you have them behind in your mind, you'll be guided properly. You wouldn't want to contravene both the financial regulation, the public service rules, and the other extant circulars that guides daily operations in the public service, particularly Federal Housing Authority. With that, the issue of accountability will be somehow addressed. And recall that the current management team, led by Honorable Yetundojo, has introduced clocking in and out machine. That process has addressed the issue of punctuality. Punctuality, some people want to behave anyhow. They don't want to work hard. They wouldn't want to put in their best. But with that clocking in and out, when you realize that if you don't measure up to the standard of the number of days required, you will not be paid. So you'll be forced to come to work and stay and work minimum of 8 hours, official working hours. So all those things now help us to, as far as accountability is concerned, it will show whether one is punctual or not. Then if you realize that there is a rule to be contravened, if you fail to do so and so thing, then one will have it at the back of the mind that there is a provision somewhere that I would not want to contravene. And all those things will now guide the way we operate and the way we conduct ourselves in the system.
Okay, so how do you also address overlapping of departments doing the same work, or another department doing the work, the schedule that another department? So take, for instance, if we have a situation where housing program is doing what engineering department is supposed to be doing, how do you address this? Are there laid down schedule for every department?
Yes.
And also, how do you encourage interdepartmental teamwork?
Just like I told you earlier, this has been addressed. The introduction of teams, building approval team. Take, for example, now, building approval team now. You have an architect there, you have an engineer there, a town planner is there, a lawyer is there, an architect is there, an accountant is there, an internal auditor is there. They work as a team for a purpose. The purpose is for what? To generate revenue for FHA, to address FHA matters, and then move FHA forward. And in course of doing that, they won't work at cross purposes. They are not working, they have a goal that they are achieving. So teamwork has addressed that issue. And thanks to our current managing director, who has introduced that working in teams, and then he created those teams, and they are functioning effectively.
So where do you see the FHA workforce in the next 3 or 5 years?
Well, I see a pool of professionals in various fields excelling, working in line with what we call best practices. Because by the time you train and retrain your workforce, they will acquire new knowledge, new skill, and they will measure up with their contemporaries all over the world. And at the end of the day, the culture of best practice will be cultivated, and then the whole place will be fine. So I see a pool of professionals doing their best.
Okay, so lastly, sir, what do you have to say to the staff and the management of FHA?
We have a mandate given by government, mandate established by the act that formed FHA. We have to deliver houses. And for us to do that, we have to cooperate, work in harmony, both the management and the staff. Harmonious working relationship will enhance higher productivity, and that will move towards actualizing the mandate laid down by government for FHA to achieve.
Thank you very much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you.
Up next is the voucher.
I used to know them in those years, but not now. Well, I have, for quite almost 10 years now, I've been hearing of that name in the Federal Capital Territory and their other housing development.
The little I know about them is they try as much as possible to see how they can minimize the housing scheme for the people who don't have much to offer or to buy at some point in time. So they try as much as possible to see how they can cut down or subsidize the price for the masses.
Well, they are not effectively communicating to the public from my own perspective, because you see, housing has been a challenge in this Federal Capital Territory. And if they have effectively communicated on that, they would have subsidized houses in the Federal Civil Service.
I won't say they communicate in a very proper way, but one way or the other, they try as much as possible to see how they can reach out to people who are interested and who are ready to give out such necessary information, and that will follow through.
Planning to develop on your land within an FHA estate? Here's everything you need to know about why you need a building approval and common mistakes to avoid. Building approval is not just the paperwork. It is your first step to ensure your structure meets planning, safety, and environmental standards. Here are the common mistakes that can delay or deny your building approval. Your building deserves a strong foundation. For more inquiries, contact our customer support or visit www.fha.gov.ng. FHA, uniting Nigerians through housing.
updates on FHA Weekly. For more enquiries, you can visit our website www.fha.gov.ng, or you can engage with us on all social media platforms at FHA Nigeria. I am Ituno Kolawole. See you in the next one.